That's Mackenzie Shirilla getting her just reward for driving her car at 100 miles an hour into a wall and killing her boyfriend and his friend, and not herself. Thing is, she said it was an accident, but the prosecutor showed evidence that, quote, the accelerator pedal was being pushed down at 100% capacity.
Reviews, Exhibit 802. There can be no doubt in your mind what happened this night. There can be no doubt of the absolute terror of the two people in that car.
Now you still might be asking yourself, what does that mean? So what? Well, the prosecution was trying to prove, which in a way they did, that she was not under any drugs.
And for us to get started on the search warrant, which is what we did.
Yeah, because they had ordered a toxicology screen that night, and they never ran it. Never got like a urine sample on her, which is just stupid for this exact reason.
Like we told them, God, this whole case could crumble on this now.
Yeah.
So I know Mackenzie Shirilla and the Netflix documentary The Crash is everywhere. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's actually a pretty good watch. Now, most people are debating if she did it, if she crashed the car on purpose. Was it an accident? Did she have a medical episode? This is what the debate has been the whole time. But if you know my channel, it's going to be different. We're not talking about if she did it on purpose or if she didn't do it on purpose. We're going to talk about, was there a hidden motive to convict her in the first place? And second, we're going to talk about her lawyer. Did her lawyer even try to defend her? Because I have all the case files in front of me. I have all the evidence. I have everything. And I can show you guys. It looks like to me, her lawyer was trash, didn't even do what he was supposed to do in the first place. So even if she didn't do it or didn't do it, her lawyer looked like he didn't even do the job. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we hear is we take a look at true crime cases. Now, the cases I usually do, I do a deeper dive than what you're going to see on the media. Sometimes what you see from other YouTube channels, other YouTube creators. I truly do a deep dive into the journalism and the reporting and the investigations. Now, I do a lot of missing people cases and a lot of true crime and things like that. Now, the reason why this is called Fugitive TV is because I give you a different perspective on a lot of these cases. Now, see, I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I ran from the law for 15 years, successfully crossed country borders, lived in different countries under different names until eventually I turned myself in. Now I am a motivational speaker. I help family members locate missing people and also help locate other fugitives that have done something horrific that needs to be brought to justice. Well, today what we're going to talk about is Mackenzie, the whole Shirilla case, the Netflix documentary, The Crash. In case you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure you have, or you know about this case, it might be all over your timeline, okay? I'm not going to get into the full details of it. There's 1,000 other channels that are talking about the full details of the case and if she did it or she didn't do it. We're looking at this a different way today, guys, because from my perspective, looking at the documentary, because that was the first thing I noticed, some things in there. And then, like I said, I have all the evidence in front of me. I'll have the whole case files in front of me on my laptop right now. After looking at these things, I'm actually wondering if Mackenzie's lawyer did his job. Now, like I say, I don't know if she did it. I don't know if she did it on purpose or it was an axe. I don't know. I wasn't there. And to be honest with you, none of us were in that car to even know whether she did it on purpose or not. We don't know. Only thing we could do is look at some of the evidence that was presented. That's the only thing we can do, okay? But at the same time, there's evidence that her lawyer could have fought against, but it looks like he chose not to and just sat back and kept his head down. Now, this all started when I watched the documentary. I watched the documentary, The Crash, okay? And while watching the crash, they kind of end it like, did she do it or didn't she do it? Netflix knows what they're doing. They're trying to get people to watch the documentary, which they did a good job at that, right? But when the whole courtroom drama happened, that's when it sparked my interest. And see, I am a big believer in, if you're paying a lawyer to represent you, you need to be, or he needs to do his job. If you're paying somebody to defend you, to either get lesser time or lesser charge or even get you off completely innocent, he needs to do his job. So anybody watching this channel that's ever been in trouble before with the legal system, you know what I mean. If you ever had a lawyer, mess up on you or anything, because I definitely have. Definitely. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in a bit. But the lawyer is supposed to defend you, just like the prosecutor is supposed to do the job, right? So you can look at this both ways. Whether the defendant did it or not, any case, the lawyer he gets is supposed to defend him. He's supposed to do his job. The prosecution, whether whoever they're prosecuting did it or not, the prosecution is supposed to do their job. So you have a lot of people who get convicted who really didn't do the crime, and now they're trying to appeal it because there are people out there that's been convicted and actually didn't do nothing, okay? They were just at the wrong place at the wrong time or whatever it was, or people were hiding evidence on them, something. And then you have criminal defense attorneys who maybe the person was innocent and the criminal defense attorney didn't do their job or was lazy or decided not to look into something or just didn't think about looking into something that could have saved their client's, position. So anytime you get in trouble, you should at least be fairly represented, especially when you're hiring somebody. Now, I'm just going to tell you something real quick. What sparked my interest in the lawyer was when the mother, Mackenzie's mom, was on the stand. And Mackenzie's mom was on the stand talking about POTS, that Mackenzie has POTS. Now, I know what POTS is. I had to look this up. At first, I didn't know. I had to look it up. I'm not going to break down the abbreviation because I can't even pronounce it. I'm just being honest with you guys. But she started talking about how Mackenzie has POTS. All right. And how she could have had a medical episode. And then the prosecutor who's in front of her. And by the way, prosecution did a great job. He was in the courtroom. He looked like he was a man of business. OK, he looked like he was confident that he is going to win. He looked like he owned the courtroom, looking at people in the eye, the judge in the eye. OK, then you have Mackenzie's lawyer, who, by the way, the name is James McDonald. He looked defeated from the start, head down, shriveled down. He didn't sound as confident when he was talking. It was a big difference. It was night and day, okay? It just didn't look like he was trying. But when she was on the stand talking about POTS, and I'm not going to quote word for word of what the prosecution said, but basically he was making it seem like you let your daughter drive knowing she have POTS. Oh my gosh, she could put everybody in danger. That's pretty much what the prosecution was making the judge believe. Or if you watched it, you would believe like, oh my God, maybe you shouldn't drive with POTS whatsoever. That was the way he was putting it. Now, I don't have POTS, so I can't tell you should drive or you shouldn't drive with it. I don't know. I don't have a clue. But when the prosecution was done with their examination, if you go back to the documentary, the lawyer asked Mackenzie's lawyer, James, would he like to have a turn? A cross-examination. What did he do? No, Your Honor, I pass. From that moment, I was like, oh, what? I pass? You're not going to get up and say anything about this? You're not going to, cross-examine whatever. I don't know if you went first. I don't know. But still, what the prosecution was saying, you're not going to fight this? Then right after that, Netflix starts talking about how the lawyer didn't have no medical experts up there talking about POTS, no medical paper, no, nothing. So my question was, hold on. See, I've been through court cases. I've been through the courtroom before. I've been through this stuff. So my question was, this attorney didn't prep the family at all for when they got on the stand. First of all, was the mom, who was she the witness for? The criminal defense or the prosecution? Because the way it was up there looking looked like it was the prosecution who had her up there as a witness. Because who was the mom with? Who called her to the stand? Who put her on the docket as being a witness? Okay. And the defense attorney should have known you're going to go on a stand and you're going to speak. I'm going to prep you. So what's going to happen? You're talking about these POTS. You're talking about this medical episode. The prosecution might ask you, you don't think your daughter should be driving if she has POTS? What are you going to respond to that? And the lawyer, if he prepped them correctly, should have had some ammunition in his back pocket because he should have known that was coming. He should have known that was coming so that way he can get up and cross-examine that. For example, let me show you something. Now, like I said, I don't know anybody with POTS. I really don't even know what it is. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I do. But we all have Google. All right. And after the prosecution was basically, in a way, he didn't say it, but his demeanor gave off like you shouldn't be letting your daughter drive with POTS. So whether you can drive with POTS depends on your specific symptoms, stability, and medical clearance. There is no universal rule. While many individuals with POTS drive safely, others must stop due to risk like fainting or severe brain fog. Medical clearance, you must be cleared by your healthcare team to ensure your symptoms are stable enough for the road. Symptom stability. Driving is generally advised only when symptoms like dizziness or lightheadedness are controlled. So by Googling it, it tells you that you can drive safely. It says that unless, you can't control your fatigue or dizziness or I guess blacking out, right? Now, on the stand, the prosecution asked her, well, when was she diagnosed with POTS? Her mother says 2017 she was diagnosed with POTS. Okay? And then goes on to say, well, you let her drive and then sits down, pretty much drops the mic moment on her. Like, yeah, I got this. And then her lawyer didn't say anything in return. Here's the thing. If she was really diagnosed in 2017, Mackenzie wasn't even old enough to drive. Okay? She only would have been 12 or 13 years old if she was diagnosed with POTS. So at 12 or 13 years old, I'm pretty sure that in the medical room, you're not saying, well, can my daughter drive though? Can I get a medical clearance? I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. Because that means she probably wasn't driving until 3 to 4 years later. Now, I'm not saying this is right, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but this could have been a counter examination on what the prosecution left. Because the way the prosecution left and sat down, you're lingering in your head like, wow, your mom, if she does have POTS, the mom shouldn't let her drive in the first place then. Maybe she was lying. But if he would have got up and said, hey, hold on, people with POTS can drive safely. It's not everybody with POTS can't drive. They can drive safely if it's controlled. But when was she diagnosed again, ma'am? 2017. How old was she in 2017? 12 or 13. So she wasn't even the age of driving yet, right? No, I rest my case. You guys get where I'm going? There could have been a rebuttal and he should have been prepared for that. Why wasn't he prepared for just that one simple rebuttal? So this one thing that I'm showing you right here is something that I'm pretty much sure knew happened through the whole entire trial. Now, I found this article. It says day 2 of the trial, okay? And This article discusses a little bit of what happened in the courtroom, all right? It says Tuesday was day 2 in the trial of the Strongsville teen charged with unaliving in a deadly crash that occurred last July. Mackenzie Shirilla, 19, faces multiple charges, including MURDR, felonious assault, and aggravated vehicular homicide, which you're going to get into later on, okay? I'm going to discuss all the charges that they threw on her and what he should have fought for. We're going to discuss that. Shirilla, who was 17 at the time of the incident, is accused of intentionally crashing a vehicle with her 20-year-old boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and his 19-year-old friend, Davion Flanagan, in the car. Her 2 young passengers died. Prosecution said she was going 100 miles per hour when she crashed into a building near the intersection of Progress Drive and Alameda Drive in Northwest Strongsville at 6:15 a.m. on Sunday, July 31st, 2022. Now, remember this date. It all happened on July 31st. This date is going to play an important factor, a very important factor. So keep this in mind. Tuesday, Shirilla's right arm was wrapped in a sling for a second day of the trial. Her family told News 3 this is connected to her injury from the crash. She was also wearing a sling on Monday. All right. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to scroll down and we're going to talk about what was said on the stand. Dominic's mother, Christine Russo, took the stand at the Times in tears, and she recalled the death of her son. She said she loved Shirilla, who lived with their family for a time, but that relationship Shirilla had with her son was one of the constant fighting and threats. When Dominic's older brother, Angelo Russo, testified, he shared a similar sentiment, saying the couple broke up often. I witnessed a lot of negative behavior from her to my brother, and that just kind of pushed me away as a big brother figure because she just wasn't fair to him. Okay. Now he says, I witnessed a lot of negative behavior from her to my brother. So basically he's saying, hey, she did everything to him. He's innocent. A lot of it was on her, right? That's what he's saying. Then it says a Russo family friend also took the stand and testified that he had heard Shirilla threatened to crash a vehicle that she and Russo were in on an Interstate 71 about 2 weeks before the fatal accident. All right. So if you watch the documentary, we all know they kept bringing this up. She threatened to crash the vehicle. All right. 2 weeks before it happened. Prosecution presented that Shirilla's behavior toward Russo had become very hostile in the weeks before the crash, citing the I-71 incident above and also playing a recording of Shirilla outside of his home in which it appears that she is threatening to key Russo's car. Then it says, are you threatening to key my car? Russo is heard asking. I will key this car if you do not let me in the house. Shirilla is heard responding. If you don't let me in the house, yes. Shirilla defense attorney James McDonald made sure to emphasize that the fighting between Shirilla and Russo was mutual, that they both always fought, okay? He said they both fought each other, right? He posed to Angelo Russo. They argued, she's 17-year-old kid, and your brother is what, 20? McDonald also said that in the hours before the crash, Shirilla and Russo were doing well. The hosts of the party they were at and those hours affirmed so when asked McDonald. You didn't see Dominic and Mackenzie fight at all. McDonald asked host Paul, I think his last name was pronounced Berlinhaus. No, Berlinhaus responded. Everything seemed fine between them, right? He said yes. So you saw them for 6 hours. No fighting. Everything was good, right? He said yes. During Christine Russo's testimony, she was asked about the prosecution, if Shirilla ever gave her more details at any time about the incident leading to Dominic's death. No, she's always maintained for those months that she does not remember, she told the courtroom. Along with this question, the prosecution displayed a text message from Shirilla to Christine to the courtroom that said, I remember turning onto the street and then my vision fades to black. It really kills me not being able to remember anything. I promise you, I would tell you, I've been asking my therapist why I don't remember. And she says because of my trauma, but I'm going to try to get hypnotized and make myself remember. Others that testified on Tuesday were a crime scene detective, an analyst with a regional crash team, Southwest Accident Group. One of Davion Flanagan's friends who was messaging with Flanagan in the hours before the crash, and the host of the graduation party who saw Shirilla Russo and Flanagan as her party the night before the fatal accident. The crash team analysis Sergeant Adam McQuaid said about 1 second before the crash, the steering wheel made a hard right turn of 142.5 degrees. When McDonald questioned McCade, he made sure to get clarification that McCade did not know who turned the wheel. So you don't know who or what caused the steering wheel to go in that direction, he asked. I only know that the steering wheel went in that direction, McQuaid responded. McDonald also asked about the side airbag that deployed in the moment before the crash as a way to show the courtroom that its deployment could have led to an accidental crash. Now I'm going to stop right there. All right. This part right here, and I'm going to go over a little bit more, but this part right here, when he's asking the sergeant about the steering wheel, who turned the steering wheel? Do you know who turned the steering wheel? Okay. He says, so you don't know who or what caused that steering wheel to go in that direction. The reply was, I only know that the steering wheel went in that direction. That's the reply. I would have came back with the question again. I would have been, this is a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you know who turned the steering wheel? He would have had to answer yes or no. If he would have answered yes, he's lying. So he has to answer no. Do you know who turned that steering wheel? No, I don't. Sit down. And there was the whole fight of the prosecution was trying to see if there was any alcohol, any drugs in Mackenzie's system. Remember that? Because they were like, if there's nothing in her system, she can't blame it on anything. And if you remember on the documentary, they did show the toxicology report. They showed that it came back positive for THC. And then they said that she drives smoking all the time and she has no issues. She's always driving smoking. She has no issues, which is a fair argument. Hey, this person drives like this all the time. Why would they lose control now? It's a fair argument, right? And they said that in her system, the only thing that popped up was THC. But they didn't tell the whole truth. They did not tell the whole truth at all. Watch this. So remember the date? The crash happened on July 22nd. All right. Now, this is a toxicology report. All right. So it's to show you, it says Shirilla Mackenzie. All right. Report date, October 6, 2022. Then right here, it gives you lab item, description, receipt, okay, and a sessioning date. All right. Now right here, it tells you lab item 0141, vial of blood drawn on 7/31/2022 at 07:36 hours from Mackenzie. Then you get another vial of blood drawn 7/31. All right. So basically, the accident happened on July 22nd. This bottle of blood was drawn July 31st. Okay. Now you might ask yourself, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Right? Then it tells you right here, blood 1, August 3rd, 2022. Blood 2, August 4th, 2022. Now you still might be asking yourself, well, what does that mean? So what? Well, the prosecution was trying to prove, which in a way they did, that she was not under any drugs, any shrooms, any liquor. THC did show positive, as you see right here, THC, right? So it does show that. But it also, that's when they said, well, she drives normal under THC. Correct, right? Now keep this in mind. Accident happened on July 22nd. This vial of blood was not drawn until July 31st, and then then August 3rd, and then August 4th. So keep these dates in mind. So I'm going to show you guys something, all right? When you get into trouble with the law and they want to do some sort of testing on you, whether it's blood, alcohol, any sort of narcotics, drugs, most of the time they will do it right when you get incarcerated or right when you go to the hospital, okay? And there's a reason why. Because some narcotics only stay in your system for a certain amount of days. So for example, most people who smoke, they know THC, Mary Jane, weed, whatever you want to call it, stays in your system for up to 30 days. Now, cocaine goes out your system within a few days, all right? Every narcotic's different. Now, what they were testing her for was alcohol and also shrooms, because they showed all those pictures of her doing mushrooms, right? So look at this. Shrooms are typically eliminated from your system within 24 to 48 hours, all right? While the psychoactive effects generally last only 4 to 6 hours, and then it gives you a whole test type, all right? Urine, which it says the most common, 24 to 48 hours. Then it says up to 3 days for heavy users. So if you were using it heavy, it says it'd be in your system up to 3 days. Blood, up to 15 to 24 hours, people. So meaning if you take shrooms, it should be out of your system within 2 days. Saliva, 1 to 24 hours. Here's the kicker. Hair. Hair is up to 90 days. But as you see, they didn't take a hair sample. They took a blood sample. Blood. Now you might ask yourself, what about the urine? Well, what if I told you that, you see, they took that blood days after the accident happened, okay? Now remember, she went straight to the hospital. So they had her in the hospital. They would take the blood right then and there. Now you might be asking yourself, maybe they didn't take the blood right then and there. Well, you know what? They did take blood from her when she first got admitted, but they threw it away. So the samples of blood that the police got is another vial of blood that they took days later. All right? They never got the original vial of blood. They never even got urine. Urine wasn't even taken. Now you might be asking, how do you know this? Well, let's listen to the call of the detective talking to the person about the blood in the vial.
The ER doctor, we told her that we found drugs on the girl. And she said she's going to do the blood work and for us to get started on the search warrant, which is what we did.
Yeah, because they had ordered a toxicology screen that night, and they never ran it. Never got like a urine sample on her, which is just stupid for this exact reason.
Like we told them, God, this whole case could crumble on this now.
Yeah. Let's see here. Everything from the 31st. Is I'm looking to see if anything is still here before. Let's see. No, not that. 2022. That was not collected. I'm not seeing any blood still here from the 31st.
Really?
Yep. Let's see here.
Oh my God.
2 seconds.
Toxicology selecting. I'm going through each one. Let's see. Selecting. No. Canceled.
22 seconds.
Oh. This was, let's see.
46 and 32 seconds.
It's looking like everything was disposed of from the 31st on the 5th.
Monday,
On the 5th? Okay. All right. I will just let the prosecutor know. She's going to get off on this. You'll hear it.
42
That's
seconds.
terrible. I don't even know if I heard about the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Was it at night?
No, during the day.
Oh, in the evening. It was. Oh no, she came in early in the morning, huh?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
02
Jesus.
seconds.
Okay. Well, hey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I could help you more.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
All right.
Now,
Bye.
there's blood here from, like, not that this helps you, but there's blood here, obviously, because she's still here. There's blood here from a couple days ago, but I know that might not necessarily help you from that day because you're not going to get the, alcohol levels or whatever she was on.
Do you know when that blood was taken?
The stuff that is here.
Yeah.
I have something from.
Because the search warrant is until the 4th. So do you have anything from the 4th?
Let's see here. I have.
Monday, August 8th.
Well, I have. Let me see if this is still here. Let's see.
They disposed of all her blood from the night of the crash on the 31st. On the 5th. We don't have any blood.
From the 4th. Now I have. Let's see. From the 4th, I have a gold top, which is serum, a CBC. That's not here. I have one gold top from that day, from the 4th.
Okay.
And that's it. Let me see if I have anything from the 3rd.
Okay.
I have a gold top from the 3rd.
What's a gold top? I'm sorry. Like what?
It's like a serum. It's a serum blood tube.
So would that be? Would they be able to see if there were any drugs in that? Like, would that be tested for drugs?
Yeah, you could. I know that the drug screening that we do in-house is only urine, but this can be, but it can
Okay.
be out.
Anything on the 2nd or the 1st? Anything closer to the crash
Let
date?
me see if there's anything from, like...
I mean, I'll come get the 3rd and the 4th, if we can show, here, 3 days after the crash, you still have,
Right. Nothing from the 1st. Let me see about the 2nd. Nothing from the 2nd.
Oh, my God. I'm about to have a heart attack.
See, in situations like this, I wish that they kept that kind of stuff longer because...
It's a fatal crash. Like,
Yeah, for stuff like this. But that's the thing, they don't tell, like, we don't know when the blood comes in, like, what it's from or who it's from or what the situation is. We just do the testing on it and store it, and it's stored for a week, and then that's it. Let's see, I don't have anything from the 2nd. Nothing from the... I don't have anything from the 3rd. I have a tube from the 3rd, and that would be the earliest.
Okay, I need to get that.
Yeah, let me, I wonder if my supervisor's in her office. Do you have a phone number I can...
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you my office number. I'm here.
Okay, what is it?
It is 440 580 3255.
580-3255.
My first name is Zaki, Z-A-K-I.
Z-A-K-I.
Last name Hazou, H-A-Z-O-U.
A-Z-O-U.
And I'm a detective with Strongsville Police.
Okay, Detective Strongsville.
And like I said, the search warrant goes until the 4th.
Goes to the 4th, from the 31st to the 4th.
Yep, it's been served to your medical records.
1284 and 580-3255, right?
Yes.
Okay, I want to pull these two tubes.
Okay.
To put to the side for this, and I'm going to talk to I just want to see how we need to go about this. Talk to my supervisor, and then I'll give you a ring back.
Okay, sounds good.
And my name's Laura.
All right, Laura, thank you so much for your help.
Okay,
All
you're
right.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is something her attorney should have brought up in court. Did he even know about that? Did he know that the toxicology report they used on her blood was not the original blood sample, that the original blood sample was discarded? Did he know they never did a urine test? Did he know this? Because if he knew this, why didn't he say anything? You could have easily got up in that courtroom and said, Your Honor, this test is inconclusive. Why? Because this is not the original blood sample. Because what I would have led with was this. I would have said, well, what are they? I would have held a sidebar. What are they testing for? What are they testing for? The prosecution would have told you the medical terminology for shrooms, for alcohol. And then I would have came back with, well, shouldn't you you should be testing that within the first 24 hours, right? If you're doing blood work. Why here the date shows the end of July and August 3rd and 4th. Why did you guys wait a whole week, almost 2 weeks to do the blood sample then, if that's the case? Because you knew that this blood sample would not even have that in her system because you guys waited. Oh, throw it out. Throw that out. Throw it out. That right there, guys, could have possibly changed the whole entire situation of that case. Because now there is no evidence whatsoever. If that gets thrown out, now there's no evidence. We don't know if she was high. We don't know if she was drunk. We don't know anything. And the same thing goes to alcohol. Alcohol's out your system within about 24 hours, even on the blood test. And as you heard with the call, they didn't even do a urine test. They didn't even do the urine. So they had testimony, yeah. You might say, oh, there's people that said they didn't see her. Well, did they see her go to the bathroom and wipe herself after using the bathroom? Probably not. So if you're not watching her every freaking moment, you don't know what this girl is doing. First of all, what the lawyer should have did was lean into her manipulative, her, if you want to call it selfish side a little bit more, because a lot of people didn't like her, which if you look at documentary, yeah, you wouldn't like her. You wouldn't, you listen to the phone calls, her and her mom, you wouldn't like her. I'm not knocking that. You wouldn't like her. She sounds selfish, narcissist. She sounds all these things. And what the lawyer should do was lean into that a little more. Like, well, if she's known for being selfish and all this stuff, then that means she probably wouldn't have shared her alcohol. It means she probably wouldn't have shared her shrooms, which meaning she probably would have did this stuff on the side and you probably wouldn't even have saw it. Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense, yeah. She's not the sharing type of individual. So in order not to share, she don't want you to see it to share. There was just a lot of things. And this is just a tip, guys. Just a tip that I saw. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? He didn't do his job whatsoever. Like I said, whether she did it on purpose or didn't do it on purpose, we're not discussing that. We're discussing how good of a job this attorney did, which was sucky, trash, horrible. Horrible. So before I even looked him up, I was like, this guy has to be either, and no knock to anybody who's a public defender watching this, which I'm going to tell you a quick story about my first ever interaction with a public defender, and it was just horrible. But before that, I was like, this guy must be a small-time lawyer. And I'm looking at the reviews, okay? So he's only got 6 reviews. That's it, all right? And 3 years ago, he's got a review saying, with 1 star 3 years ago, has been an absolute nightmare having him represent me. All right. 3 days ago, it says you did as good as any elite attorney could do for Mackenzie with the odds against you, like Ohio did against the case. I believe she's 101% without a shadow of a doubt innocent. Keep fighting a good fight and get that girl out of prison. This is from a person named Matthew. And then 6 days ago, it goes, James McDonald is the Cleveland defense attorney who took on Mackenzie Shirilla's high stakes murder unaliving case and deliver what can only be described as a masterclass in underwhelming, borderline negligent lawyering in case where a young woman's life hung in a balance. Facing unaliving charges while with altering consequences, he apparently phoned it in. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm saying unaliving and maybe why some other creators say that, when we say the M word, M-U-R-D-E-R on small channels like mine, when you say this, they can flag your channel or flag the video and it won't get shown to the masses. So that's why. It says he opted for a bench trial, judge only, which we're going to talk about that too. Gambling that a single jurist would see reasonable doubt on the intent, despite damning black box data showing full acceleration and no braking. Then he barely lifted a finger to give the judge anything meaningful to doubt with. No medical expert, which I talked about on her POTS condition, no strong witness. Family provided records apparently sat unused. The medical blackout angle, her best shot explaining the inexplainable, was reduced to vague mom testimony that the judge swatted away easily. Which I brought that up to you guys. Like, whose witness was it? All right. Critics, including post-conviction filings and online commentary, paint a picture of a defense that was passive, unprepared. Once again, whose witness was it? But still, at the same time, this witness is your client's mother. She should have been prepared better. And shockingly, incomplete. He let the prosecution's narrative of deliberate death and destruction dominate without a robust counter. Suggestions of alternative explanations in closing, kids being kids, possible steering wheel pull, panic break and mistake, came off as desperate Hail Marys rather than a coherent, evidence-backed theory. Once again, I said he did not look positive. He did not look confident in the courtroom. And when you have a lawyer, do you want your lawyer going up to the juror like this? Yeah, he or she's innocent. I believe she's innocent. She didn't do it. Or do you want him coming up to the juror like this? My client is innocent and I'm going to prove it. Here are the facts. Which one do you rather have? It says her current legal team is aggressively pursuing ineffective assistance of counsel claims, arguing he failed to investigate and present available evidence that could have made a real difference. In a case this serious, that's not just a bad day at the office. It's the kind of performance that gets a teenager a 15 to life sentence instead of fighting chance at manslaughter. We're going to talk about that too. If you ever in a serious legal trouble, especially involving complex medical forensic issues or a sympathetic but flawed young client, McDonald's standing of State versus Shirilla should serve as a cautionary tale. He had a winnable or at least mitigatable angle on lack of intent and reportedly fumbled it. Not every defense wins, but this one looks like it barely even tried. I mean, and there was evidence that was given on the prosecution's side that showed, which we talked about in that prior article, about how she threatened to do something to him 2 weeks ago or crashed a car. But then if you watch the documentary at the very end, they show that Mackenzie's mom got a hold of text messages, and the one text message said that Dom grabbed the wheel of the steering wheel of the car. If you guys remember that. And if you guys didn't see it, that's what happened. Allegedly, Dom grabbed the steering wheel while she was driving one time. And, they got into an argument, a fight, whatever. But bringing that up, if they're bringing that up, why didn't the defense attorney bring up, hey, he tried to grab the wheel when she was driving? Maybe that could be why the wheel turned at an angle right before the crash. Is it possible that he could have grabbed the wheel out of anger, fighting or something, and that's why the wheel turned? Is it possible? And maybe he should have asked that to that sergeant when he was questioning him. Is it possible? Yes or no? Because you already said you don't know who did it, but you said the steering wheel was turned. And then there was a text message that Mackenzie sent way before all this happened saying that Dom grabbed the steering wheel. Now, we don't know if it's true or not, but she still sent the text message. So if the prosecution is going off text messages, why can't you go off a text message? They're doing it and it worked to their advantage. Why can't you do the same thing? The whole thing, I'm looking at this. Like I said, I have all the evidence. I have the police bullet points. They brought up her social media from years ago. And to myself, I am thinking her social media has, yes, I guess they're trying to prove what type of person she is. I get it. But still, that is not concrete evidence of somebody saying they're an unaliver or they're going to do. That is not. Somebody on their social media, I don't care how much you bring it up, okay? You could be a narcissist. You could be a psycho liar, but that does not mean that you committed that crime. There's so many people in society that we do like, we might even love, that commit far worse crimes. So the way somebody is not always proof that they did the crime, okay? And I'm talking about in the court of law. So this attorney, like I said, if you ask me, it was horrible. I wonder how much they spent on him. I wonder how much. And the prosecution threw every charge they could at her. There's a such thing as called overcharging. And usually what they'll do is they'll overcharge you. Now, and you're probably thinking like, overcharge? What do you mean? Nah. Listen, remember I told you about my run-in with a public defender? All right. So I grew up as a good kid. I didn't get into no trouble until my early 20s, 21 years old. All right. First time I got in trouble. All right. So I was driving one day, and I'm about 21, 22, somewhere around there, but I was driving one day, got pulled over by a cop making a U-turn. Come to find out I made an illegal U-turn. I didn't pay attention to the sign. So the cop pulls me over, runs my name, comes back and says I have a warrant for my arrest. Takes me out the car, puts me in handcuffs, puts me in the back of the car. Now, I was always taught to be respectful to police and things like that. So I didn't fight him. And, I was asking him what it is. And he said, I got to put the handcuffs on you first. And I'll tell you what it is once you get in the back of the cop car, because I was being respectful. So I get in the back of the cop car, and then the cop tells me, he's like, so you have a warrant for burglary, theft, false information to a pawn shop, and some misdemeanor charge. I don't even remember what it was. And I start thinking to myself, hold on, wait, I didn't burglarize nothing. I didn't steal nothing from nobody. False information to a pawn shop. What are you talking about? What do you mean? And then he was nice. In some counties, when you get arrested, okay, they can tell you your bond right then and there. Some counties can, because some counties, the bond depends on your charge. So let's say if your charge is theft, your bond automatically might be $2,000 and adds up depending on your charges, right? Now, some counties, you don't have a bond until you see the judge. So it all depends on your county. Now, where I was at in Colorado, this is where my trouble happened. They was able to tell me what my bond was at that time, right in the back of the cop car. My bond was $10,000, people. I didn't have no money to pay that bond. So I sat in jail for about 2.5, 3 weeks, whatever it was, before I was able to bond out, because it got lowered a little bit. So I bonded out, finally bond out, okay? Maybe 4 months later down the road. Now, this is before I knew anything about the legal system. I didn't know anything about a discovery. Now, if you guys don't know what a discovery is a packet that you're supposed to get that shows you all the evidence that the court or prosecution or whoever it is has against you. Okay, so it might show all the evidence, the smoking gun, with the fingerprints. Oh, show all that, addresses, sometimes even witnesses. Okay, I never looked at my discovery. I didn't even know what a discovery was. So 5 seconds later down the road, I go meet with the lawyer who's a public defender. So the first thing he tells me, he says, hey, listen, you don't want to go back to jail, right? I was like, no, who wants to go to jail? He goes, well, I have something for you, an offer for you. If you sign this offer, you will serve no more jail time. You will only get time served. So he sparked my ears, my interest. I'm like, okay, what is it? So he goes, all you have to do is plead guilty to this. So he passes me the paper. And all I had to do was plead guilty to false information to a pawn shop. He has burglary crossed out, theft crossed out. So he has the two charges that to me look like the most serious crossed out. False information to a pawn shop. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, let's go on ahead. All right. So, and later on, I'm about to tell you where this false information to a pawn shop even came from. All right. But I accept that plea deal. Go to court. Judge is like, get out. I'm walking out of court like happy, like, yes. Woo, no more jail for me. Because that was my first time really going to jail. I've had traffic tickets before, things like that. But that's my first time getting arrested. Like, never had that happen. So I was originally, before all that happened, I was going to sign up to go to the Air Force. That was my original plan. But I turned 21 and I was partying and procrastinating. So I said, you know what? Let me go to, the recruiter and go get this done because I already lost my job and everything else. Let me go get this done. Go to the Air Force. They say, hey, yeah, you can't join. Why? You have a felony, the false information to a pawn shop. I'm like, oh, what? They say, maybe go to the Army. They'll take you. So I go to the Army recruiter. He goes, well, we can't take you right now. Even though your felony is non-violent, but you got to wait 3 years and then we could probably take you. Oh, man. I didn't know that this one felony, okay? And I didn't even realize it was a felony, to be honest with you. I didn't read the fine print, anything like that. I heard no jail. So yeah, that felony haunted me. And from then on, I kind of just rebelled. Like, forget the system or whatever, right? Well, decades later, when I turned myself in after going on the run, there's a lot in between that. If you want to know the in between, it's all in my book, Ray of Redemption, which is my whole story from beginning to end, okay? So it's a story about me and my good childhood, growing up with me, my mom, my brother, and then me making dumb mistakes as I turned 20, and then going on a run. The whole me going on a run is in this book for 15 years, and it tells you what I did while I was on a run and everything, up to the date to where I had to turn myself in and go to court for all that. All that's in there. It's not out yet. It will be out soon. The book is done. I just sent it out to a publishing company and I'm waiting on a deal from the publishing company. If they don't give me the deal that I like, then I'm going to release it myself. So we're all waiting for the publishing company right now. I'm going to let you guys know what happens with that. But when I turned myself in, okay, I hired the best attorney in the state of Colorado, one of the best attorneys. Shout out Rubenstein, okay, who's in the Western Slopes, all right? Mark Rubenstein. He did a fantastic job. He opened my eyes to what a real attorney or attorney who cares, I should say, is supposed to do, all right? And he let me pretty much work right alongside with him. Almost like, hey, if you can think of any evidence, let me know, all right? He had a team of people. So Rubenstein looked at my very first case, the false information to the pawn shop. And he brought up to me, he goes, you should have never pled guilty to this. You could have fought this and won easily. You should have never pled at all. He goes, there's no evidence against you whatsoever. What happened was, before I got pulled over for making that illegal U-turn, 6 months prior to that, I had a roommate, okay? My roommate ended up moving out the night before rent was due, okay? I come home, I notice my roommate's gone. I open the door, I see a TV, his TV. I'm like, where is he at? At this time, we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers and two-way pagers. So I'm paging him, using my two-way pager. So he finally calls me back a couple hours later. And he's like, sorry, I didn't mean to bail on you. I know rent's due today. I'm sorry, but I left my TV in the room. You can go pawn my TV, sell it, take that money and use it towards the rent. Now, at that time, this is early 2000s, so rent wasn't a lot. It was like $475, $500. I don't remember. It wasn't a lot, okay? So I go take that TV to the pawn shop, pawn the TV. I think I get $50, $70. I don't remember. I use that money towards my rent. And that's when I got pulled over 6 months later. So that TV, come to find out, was stolen out of somebody's house. Somebody burglarized the house and that TV was stolen out the house. To this day, I don't know where my roommate got that TV from. Okay. Don't know. To this day, I don't even know what happened to the roommate. I don't even know what happened to him. Never heard from him again since then. Well, the new lawyer I hired, who's really good, shout out again, Rubenstein out of Colorado. He looked at the first case and he goes, you shouldn't have pled guilty. He goes, you shouldn't even have pled guilty to the false information to a pawn shop. I said, why? He had the original pawn shop form, the one you got to sign and fill out. And he starts reading it off to me. He goes, is this your name? I said, yeah. This how you spell it? Yes. This your birth date? Yes. He goes, is this your address? Yes. This your phone number at the time? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't remember that part. But he goes, all right, let's keep going down. He goes, what about this? How long did you have the TV? And I said, I didn't have it that long. Maybe a day or two, I think. I don't remember. I pawned it right away. And he goes, yeah, right here in the pawn shop slip, it says that you only own the TV for 1 day. And then underneath that, it says you got the TV from a roommate, a friend. He goes, technically, and then if you go all the way to the bottom, the person at the pawn shop broker or the store, they fill out their information and they fill out the information that's on your ID. So I didn't even fill out my ID number and all that. The pawn shop broker did. So he goes, technically, you never gave them false information at all. There's nothing on here that's false that you gave them. You told them you got the TV the day before. You told them where you got the TV from. So you shouldn't even pled guilty to any of this. The burglary, you were working when it happened. I guess the burglary happened in the middle of the daytime. I was working at a company called MCI, which no longer exists, but I was working. He looked into all of that. It was like, it should have been thrown out. You just happened to be the one to pawn the TV. If anything, you received stolen goods. That's a whole different charge. If anything, you shouldn't even got a felony. You should have got a misdemeanor charge of stolen goods. If anything is what you should have got. And man, after he told me that, I was so upset. And I'm like, you mean to tell me my whole life got flipped upside down because of this one charge that I didn't even have to plead guilty to? So ever since then, all right, ever since then, I always looked at attorneys and always was like, I hope this attorney is doing their job. Not just for me, but for anybody to do their job. So what the prosecution did with me was they overcharged me. They had no evidence of me being at the house, stealing anything, or even no evidence of me making a false statement to the pawn shop. They only knew that I pawned the TV. But because I pawned the TV, they decided to overcharge me. And then hopefully I will plead down to something, which is what I did. I fell into the trap. All right. Now, with her, it's almost the same thing. She got overcharged. She got the unaliving charges, 2 counts of that, the vehicular unaliving. She got all kind of charges there was. She was basically, they threw everything they could to see if it will stick, and it all stuck. Now, I looked up because there was some people saying that she was offered a plea deal beforehand. But the problem is I can't find no proof. I can't find anything. If you guys know of any proof that she was offered a plea deal beforehand, please let me know because I can't find proof, actual proof of this. Okay. Now, an attorney, what they should have did was first try and get a plea deal for a lesser charge, a plea deal for at least manslaughter. Okay? Manslaughter is what the attorney should have tried to do. Now, we don't know if he tried that. We don't know, but that's what he should have tried to do. My client will take a deal right now for 2 counts of manslaughter. Now, she's still probably going to get the max. I looked it up. I think Ohio manslaughter is like 11 years. She still could have got the, 11 years. A lawyer maybe could have, or the judge probably could have ran a concurrent like she did just now with the 15 years. But the issue is, at least she knows she's doing 11 years. Not only that, you can get out before 11 years. You got parole. Okay. You got the halfway house. So she could probably get out in 7 or 6 if she keeps her nose clean inside while she's in there. Okay. And then do the rest parole. and get out before she's 30. But now she got the 15 years, that she's got 15 years to life, meaning she has to serve 15 years until she can try and get out on parole. And I don't even think she's going to get parole after the 15 years. Now, in the very beginning of my video, I did say, was there a motive to even try and convict her in the first place? Is there a reason maybe why this lawyer didn't fight for her? Well, we all know Dominic Russo, right? Was her boyfriend. I was in the car, okay? And he's the one that unfortunately passed away. You saw the documentary, you saw his dad and sister, all right? The one person that looks like they didn't take place in the documentary was his mother. You saw his mother on the stand, but she didn't say anything during that. And I'm thinking like, why? Well, you know me, I start digging. I'm looking. I come across an interview with Mackenzie's dad. Mackenzie's dad is talking about how the Russo family in that town pretty much runs everything. And I'm like, what do you mean runs everything? So I started looking up Russo, come to find out the family is lawyers. His own mom is a criminal lawyer. It looked like she owned a house that he lived in, allegedly, and also owned a house the brother lived in, allegedly. And I'm like, well, hold on. She's got multiple companies and she has a law firm. So I'm like, wait. The mom is a lawyer, criminal. She's got a law firm. This is why the Russo name is big in this town. Almost like, what's the case? The Murdoch case. Remember how his name was all over town because the law firm. Same thing with her, seems like. So I'm like, is it because he's a Russo and the mom's a Russo? Is this the reason why they fought so hard to get a conviction on her? Now, I'm not saying it's wrong and I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that. But is this one of the reasons why? Let's just say it was an accident. Let's say it was an accident. We don't know, but let's say it was. And she really was an accident. You know, maybe she did black out or whatever it was. Okay. I think they were just fighting in the car. I don't know. I think they were fighting. They had a fight in the car or whatever, because they already have a text message, him grabbing the wheel and a text message just saying crash. They got into a fight. And I'll tell you what I think in a little bit. All right. But what if she was, not innocent, but didn't do it like premeditated and whatever else people are thinking of, calculated and thinking, what if she didn't do that? Is this the reason why all the overcharges happened? Is this the reason why? Is this the reason why they lost the blood sample or they threw it away? I don't know. Did they know her lawyer? And the lawyer was like, oh yeah, I know you, Russo. Yeah, let me not fight so hard because I know you guys. Matter of fact, I owe you a favor. Attorneys work that way. They do. Favor system. No, I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm saying, what if it was? It was just like, whoa, hold on. Wait 1 minute. Now, like I said, I don't know if she did this on purpose or it was on accident, okay? I do have videos of her driving in a car, smoking, doing 92 because she's filming it. So she was always driving fast. It wasn't like it was her first time, okay? I do know they took that route a lot. It wasn't the first time they took that route, okay? So how they were talking about how she took the route before, they took it all the time, allegedly. And I'm not saying this to stick up for her, and I'm not sticking up for anybody. But all I'm saying is, if I was the attorney, he had a lot of ammunition to fight. And it just made me mad seeing an attorney in a courtroom not fight for their client. You have one job to do, is fight for your client. And you're not doing it, and people like me can see it, something's wrong. Maybe you need to rethink what you want to do. Now, I did read allegedly years ago, he was trying to go up to be a prosecutor or delete prosecution or something like that. I don't know, but I did read that up, okay? That attorney. So I don't know if he got mad, he didn't become the lead prosecution. I don't know what happened with this guy. I don't even know what he's doing right now. As you saw, he only got 6-7 reviews. I don't know. But let this be a lesson to anybody watching this, if you get in trouble, okay, make sure your attorney is good. If you go into trial, make sure your attorney has ammunition. Make sure your attorney has all the evidence needed, and make sure your attorney is going to bring it up. Even though you have an attorney representing you, you still have the right to write your you're a judge. You still have the right to stand up in the courtroom and say there's a conflict of interest, Your Honor. And the judge is going to ask you why. And you have the right to tell them why. My lawyer is not presenting the evidence that we submitted to him that can prove my innocence. I feel my lawyer is not fighting for me the way he should or she should be fighting for me, Your Honor. Now you're going to have to sit in jail longer because now you got to go through the process again of hiring a lawyer and things like that. But still, it's better than getting an attorney that is not fighting for you. And that's what this show is about today, because I saw that and I thought it was just pathetic. But if you think she did it on purpose or you think it was an accident, let me know below. If you think they were just fighting in the car and, and things got out of control, which could be possibly true. Nobody knows. Let me know below. Her not remembering anything, that is very common, especially after accidents. A lot of people have accidents and don't remember. A lot of people go through trauma and don't remember. A lot of people go through trauma in their childhood, even sometimes adult, and you don't even got to get knocked out. But your memory, because it's so bad, is going to block it out. All right. So that's a common occurrence. So that part, I don't know if she's telling the truth or not. I don't know, because I do know that's common. So who knows? But let me know below what you think. All right. Let me know what you think. And I wonder if I can get her on the show for an interview. I'm going to try and see what I can do, because I don't see many people reaching out to her for an interview. I would like to talk to her and see where her mind state is at. Let me know below what you think. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe to the channel, Fugitive TV. Help me get to 30,000 follows, all right, or subs. I'm almost there, guys. And let me know below where you're watching this from, all right? If it's from New York, New Zealand, whatever. I try and interact with everybody that I can. Please love one another. Take care of one another. Look out at your surroundings and watch your surroundings. Until next time, this is Fugitive TV, and I'm out.